Hello, this is Sheshachalam from Astroguide myself. Today, carrying on with the Jupiter's placement and its results in different houses. Today, we'll be talking about Jupiter's placement in the second house. I once again will reiterate this particular point because I'll not be continuing this every time. A house is the span of 30 degrees which is exactly allotted from the center of the ascendant. You have to calculate now for the second house. Take the center of the ascendant wherever it is placed. 15 degrees after that is the end of the first house, and from there the second house starts. So if it is, for example, I keep taking the example of 5 degree Cancer. So if it is 5 degrees Cancer ascendant, then 20 degrees of Cancer is the end of the first house, and from 20 degrees of Cancer till 20 degrees of Leo is the second house. So this is how the second house has to be ascertained. So that means there are two adhipatis for the second house here in this case, but I will not go into those points. Today the major point is that what happens when Jupiter is placed in the second house. So we all know that the second house has a lot of characteristics and the significations. So the first most important is food, annasthana. Second is kutumbasthana, family. Third one is dhanasthana, wealth. I am taking it as most important points. Money doesn't come first. Food is first. Annasthana. Without food, you will not be able to eat money. Second is kutumba. Family comes number 2. Food and family, they are very important. Without money also you can survive. So money, that is the third karaka of the second house. Fourth karaka, communication, but it is not communication. Communication comes in the third house, but this is Vaksthana. Okay, after Vaksthana, the next line of important significations is that it represents the face. The Lagna represents the crown of the head. The second house represents the face. So face of a person, the expressions, all these are the second house. I am explaining second house so much in detail because Jupiter, the karaka for the second house, is placed in the second house here. So the eyes, especially the right eye, primary education and many more other things. So when Jupiter, the karaka for the second house, is placed, the expression will be Saumya. Saumya means pleasant. The next thing is wealth. Very good placement. People usually take this particular line and apply it everywhere. Karako bhavanashaya. They will apply it everywhere. Wherever a karaka is placed in its own karaka house, they will tell, signifier, placed in the signification. That means the signification is totally cancelled. No. Here, Jupiter, when it is placed in the second house, it amplifies the signification of wealth. So, Jupiter also represents pulses, food in the general aspect, that is the harvest, and pulses, because for businessmen, people who are having second house Jupiter, they can do extraordinary agricultural business. They can do very good wholesale pulse dealing. They can deal with food and many other objects, but particularly pulses. Pulses are all these dals, what we call as dal, masoor dal, tur dal, moong dal, all dal. Dal means those dicotyledons which are split. So this is of very big market value after the cereals, which actually comes under moon and sun, but the pulses majorly comes under Jupiter. So people who have to do mundane astrology can usually make use of this, but Jupiter in the second house, people with that can do very good irrigated land agriculture. So you should understand that dry land agriculture is there and irrigated land agriculture is there. Particularly Jupiter in second house, they will get good water, good harvest. So they can do fruits and they can also do pulses. I came to fruits now because Jupiter represents the sugar content. So all those fruits which can be dried, dates, you can go for raisins, you can go for the fig. So many fruits are there which can be dried, apricots, walnuts, all these fruits which can be dried, exported, imported, all these trading of dry fruits comes under, particularly under Jupiter, but with a little bit of Ketu in it. I will not come into that intricacy of advanced level. Jupiter is a must. So, Dhanya, Dravya and Dhana. These are the three major characteristics of Jupiter. Dhanya, what I told you about the harvest, the agricultural harvest, Dhanya. Dhanya particularly means all these pulses, Davasa, Dhanya. That's what we call in Kannada. So, Dhanya in many other languages also it is Dhanya only. It means good food grains. Dravya means all that wealth which is not only money, it's not liquid currency, it's wealth. All that wealth which can be measured for its valuable content comes under Jupiter. Then comes Dhana. Dhana is regular direct wealth, the bank account and the wealth of a person. So when Jupiter is placed in the second house, just imagine all this will increase in a person's chart very well. In his life, he will be able to achieve it at very good ease. But the negatives are also there. Don't think that Jupiter in the second house means that wow, everything is done, I am settled. Selfish people, yes, you are settled. But people who think about other people also, you will understand now what actually is the problem. From the ninth house, the second house becomes the sixth house. Let us count. Ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th, 1st, 2nd. So it becomes the sixth. So if Jupiter is placed in the second house, if it is strongly placed, but for the ninth house, it is a malefic placement for a strong benefic like Jupiter in the sixth. So who is the ninth? The father. Father of the native might go through difficulties of health early in the native's life. Early in the native's life, the native who has this particular position will see that some problem or the other is happening to his father, particularly with regard to lipids, that is the cardiac problem, that is the heart. So, there will be some difficulty with regard to gelling up with the father, that is how to understand, the communication with son and father will have some problem. So let us go to the next level. These people are pandits. Pandit in the level, it's not, the pandit is not now only, a word which actually is only associated with Hindus. No, pandit in the English dictionary means that a person who is highly skilled and talented. So these are pandits. These people are very good bankers, excellent and knowledgeable people in share market. They know where to invest, what to do. They are very good in putting the money in the right places. So second house Jupiter means these people are born financial managers, provided, I am giving you all these great things, but provided the Lagna Lord is strong. So don't think that second house Jupiter is there blindly, you tell that, oh, you can do very good in share market. No, you should also see the 8th house, Mars and the Lagna Lord if you want to talk about the share market and its prospects. But on a generalistic view, keeping in mind that all these are strong, then Jupiter in the second house, people can become chartered accountants, engineers, bankers, name the profession, they can be good judges, particularly journalists. They can be excellent journalists because they can talk well, because their voice is good, their vocabulary is good, because second house also means vocabulary. Their expression is good, they capture the people's mindset very easily, they understand how to express things very easily because it comes within the blood. So that's how it is. So they also do good charity. You can understand why charity, because from the second it aspects the 10th house of the chart, and that is why all this, why the aspect of Jupiter is very important more than its placement. It is reversed for Saturn. The aspect of Saturn is not that great, but its placement, it will always support that house. But in Jupiter's case, particularly for the second house, It will even support the house, the second house, and its karakatvas, and also the fifth aspect, which is on the sixth house of the native, will give competitive edge to the native. The eighth house will give property. And anyway, in a negative way, I just told you that the native might have difficulties with his father's, the father's longevity is questionable. So, and again, from there, it aspects the 10th house, which is the ninth aspect, fantastic aspect for Karmasthana. So they will do good in charity because the Karmasthana, the Karmasthana has been aspected by Jupiter's ninth aspect. They are generous. Usually marriage is delayed. Why it is delayed? Jupiter is aspecting the sixth and the eighth. It's not aspecting the seventh house. So that means there is a little bit of delay in marriage. So if you take from the seventh house, Jupiter is placed in the eighth. So if I count from the seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th, first and second. So it is the eighth placement. So from the seventh, if I take seventh as the Lagna, that is the marriage, the relationship, then it is placed in the eighth from it. So that means Jupiter is not well placed from whichever house in the horoscope. If Jupiter is in eighth from it, that house suffers due to Jupiter. So second house is also Marakasthana. What is Marakasthana? Death inflicting house. But Marakasthana not always gives death. It can also cause accidents. It can also cause minor operations and minor setbacks in life. All this is bodily setbacks only. It is not that Marakasthana will do any mental damage or psychological setback. No, it will do bodily damages. So Jupiter may give health problems of chronic in nature, which may progress slowly in the person's life and may become the cause. Cause of what? I told you, Maraka. The other good points of Jupiter placed in the second house is that these people get easy loans. Its aspect in the sixth house. It gives you the competitive edge. It gives you the strength to do continuous job and service, hard work, and then also loans. You can build your house. You can go for good conveyances. Excellent. You can buy good land because Jupiter in the second house is also the 11th from the fourth house. So if I count from the fourth, it actually is placed in the 11th. So it is in the Labhasthana from the fourth house of the native. The fourth house is for Sukha. The fourth house is for enjoyment. Sukha means enjoyment. Materialistic enjoyment, fourth house. And the fourth house is also for all sorts of vehicles, facilities, conveyances, everything. The house, the residence, the place where he stays, the locality, the poshness, everything is seen from the fourth house. And when Jupiter is in the 11th from it, the dasha, the bhukti or the transit of Jupiter in the 11th from the 4th will always be very profitable. So, they love their family, they love their friends, they love food, and that actually will become a difficult problem because these people might overindulge in food. So second house, when Jupiter is in the first house, second house and fifth house, people will have to restrict themselves to a limit. Do not overeat, it might become a cause of obesity. So thank you very much for today's class. I hope I have covered a lot of subject of Jupiter and it will be useful. Thank you very much.